Well, welcome back, everybody, to The Greenroom is a Bathroom, a series designed to kind of only entertain those who understand what that phrase means, which is we're not the big times, we're not the big guys, we're just doing our thing, making live music for people that enjoy live music. And today I have with me a special guest, one that makes me look a little bit less cool, because while I went to Berkelee online, he goes to Berkelee in person. So, Eliot Thompson, correct? I said it right.
That's right.
Sweet,
Yeah.
Sweet. I can pronounce that name. Last time I had a guest on Riverside FM, which is what we're recording on, I butchered his name the entire time, and I felt bad about it. But here we are. We're moving on. So we have Eliot Thompson on, a singer-songwriter. Is that fair to refer to you as that?
I think I classify as a singer-songwriter. Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds good. All these questions I probably could ask as well before we started, but you know, this is a musician's podcast. So what prep are we talking about? We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants, start the show, and go for it. So why don't you give us a little rundown? Who you are, what you do?
Right. Yeah. Sure. My name is Eliot Thompson. I'm a first semester at Berkelee College of Music, so that's in Boston. So being a singer-songwriter means, you know, my family is not, you know, they're apprehensive about my future and where I'm going. But more specifically, I've been making music since like around 14. So that was about 4 years ago. I'm only 18 right now. But being a singer-songwriter means hustling and trying your hardest to hone your craft as an artist and as an instrumentalist, perform live, be your own independent, you know, promoter and marketer. And ultimately, I'm at Berkelee College of Music in order to meet as many people as I can. So thank you for having me. It's very nice of you.
Absolutely. And when I started at Berkelee online a little while ago, I paused my program for a bit. I got made fun of in the band then, and that's my day job that usually happens at night. Always making the jokes of like, oh, you know, like John Mayer and Quincy Jones, you're just like them, except, you know, you're online. And that's fine. So we have a guy who's actually like those guys because he's in person. And I have to say, 4 years ago, starting music, and now you're at one of the most prestigious music schools.
Thank you.
Well done. Very cool.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So today, like most of our podcasts, we'll have a few segments. I say most, every single one of them so far. We'll have 3 segments today. We have the big question, band names, real or fake, a new segment, and then my personal favorite, which is hot takes, cold stakes, which is where musicians like us have extremely strong opinions on things that don't matter, even slightly. So we're going to get into that, but let's start with the big question, which is also in and of itself kind of like a hot take on cold stakes or whatever, because it doesn't really matter, and it's all subjective anyways. But Eliot, question to you: has music, generally speaking, gotten better, worse, or it just changes depending on the decade?
So in my opinion, when you ask me if music has gotten better, it depends on what you're talking about, right? So music in terms of pop or what is mainstream has certainly, in a sense, the argument that, you know, old heads usually present is that music has been dumbed down, or what is appealing is less, to the younger generation is yet true. Less sophisticated than what it used to be. So take a Stevie Wonder who is doing all these crazy chord changes, who's working with like a jazz band, compare it now to, I don't know, a Benson Boone. I do like Benson Boone, but
I would like to see Stevie Wonder do a backflip off of his piano.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think that would end really poorly if he tried to do that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so if you're comparing what's mainstream, what you ultimately need to be looking at is what the consensus among the younger generations respond to, right? So you kind of have to tie it to the rise of social media. Our attention spans are diminishing. So therefore, in the industry, what it's all about is when you're presenting a song to an A&R or whatever, what's the hook? Immediately, verse and chorus, what is it? Let me hear it, right? So that incentivizes people to, or artists like myself, to, you know, conform to that general consensus, which is that it needs to be attention grabbing and it needs to fit the times. So in that way, I would say that the process in creating popular music and having that be put out to the world and widely accepted, that is not my favorite thing to do. And I know a lot of artists agree with me, because ultimately what it does is it takes away from your artistry and your individuality. And for a business that's so heavy about authenticity, right, and about who are you as an individual, because that's what sells, it's actually not being authentic. It's you're taking little pieces of your personality interwoven with the industry and the business and the demonic monster that lives within it, and presenting it out to the lowest common denominator of people. So in terms of pop music, because the process making pop music is in line and in tandem with social media and the younger generations and the diminishing attention spans, in my opinion, that process has gotten worse. However, you can't forget the music. Like, there's tons of independent artists that are coming up now. And I was just talking to someone who works here, a professor, about how, times have changed. And back then it was so much more about, like, when am I going to get signed? Right? Nowadays, what we're seeing is a rise in popularity of people who are completely independent, of independent label groups as well. And in that way, it's almost like the evening out in ways, right? So now you're getting all of these independent artists who are blowing up on TikTok or whatever, who aren't signed and who make a living. Do you know the artist Jake? He spells it JVK.
With the V? Yeah.
Yeah. He made Golden Hour. He's independent, right?
Yeah.
Artists like Leve work with AWOL, which is an independent group. And what's interesting about them is, while, they are ingrained with the business, they're perfect examples of quality music that is being pushed in a way that isn't taking away from their personal identity, from what us as an audience can tell, right? So all of this to say, has music gotten better or worse? Pop music has always been pop music, and it's always been conforming to, like, Call Me Maybe, Carly Rae Jepsen, fucking 10 years ago, right? Back then people would say, oh, this is new, this is gross. But times are always changing, regardless of whether people like it or not. But generally speaking, with the rise of AI and the rise of social media, there is less of an attention on musical integrity and more of an attention on branding and appealing to the younger generations in a second like that. So that's my long-winded answer.
No, that's good. At the risk of sounding, self-congratulatory to me, I was gonna say, wow, it's really profound, and then get into how similar it was to what my answer was gonna be. But I don't want to pat myself on the back too much.
No, please.
No, I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. In fact, so much I don't know why I'm qualifying with a lot rather than just everything. It's interesting. I've noticed working. So I've done a lot of different things within music, kind of dancing around the industry. I only had like one industry guy that I knew growing up, and I had a very small record contract when I was 20 with a label that's defunct. Yeah, and it didn't do anything. It was like right on the verge of like, labels are everything, you have to have them, and then now you can do it on your own kind of thing.
Right.
And I had the one that was splitting the gap that didn't really do anything. So with that though, I've worked with churches, I've worked with bars and venues and all this different stuff, and I've noticed the one thing that kind of gets me to say, yeah, a little bit it's gotten worse, is that musical sophistication that you talked about. I'd say there was a far more significant amount of people just in the general population that could read music 40 years ago than the average music student in college. And that's crazy to me. I was in choir in high school. I was doing sports and choir at the same time, and it was kind of like put on different faces. And I remember So I'd been working in a band when I was 17, sneaking into bars and just lying about my age because I'm playing with a bunch of people much older than me. And so I was a good enough singer and understood just enough about, sight reading that I could fake pretend that I could do it. And so I never really fully learned. If I sat down, I can't sight read, or I can't play and read at the same time. I can sight read, but it takes me so much more time. It's like a second grader trying to read a chapter book kind of thing.
Right.
Like, it's going to take me all day, but I could do it. And now I think about all the people that I know can sight read and sing, poorly in a choir, that are just 50, 60, 70 years old. That's the one part of that's catching me up. But to your point about the indie kind of independent scene, I think it would be it'd be foolish to say that interesting music doesn't take place just because you don't know about it. I think that's just says more about the listener in that respect. You think everything's bubblegum, well, maybe stop trying to get bubblegum pop as the only thing. We have Spotify.
Right.
You could find an artist that has 3 monthly listeners today, and it might be the greatest song you've ever heard, or at least it might speak to you specifically in a way that no other song has ever spoken to you. And to me, that's kind of like, well, it's out there. Now it's on you as the listener. Yeah, it's a sea of music. But no, I really do appreciate what you say.
To that point, in terms of why music maybe has gotten better, being able to distribute your own music and to so freely be able to do it and produce it in your own bedroom, that's not necessarily something you could do 10, 20 years ago, right? You'd have to go through a label. You have to sell CDs, right?
Yeah.
So, even though maybe pop music is dumbed down, or, professional artists who, classify themselves as, professional musicians can't even read sheet music, the ability for us to find such niche artists, that hinges on the fact that now in this digital age, right? Or it's been a digital age for a while. But now, in the spirit of time, it is very encouraged almost, and technology facilitates creativity in a lot of ways, and we can see that in the amount of small artists, people who are doing it from their bedrooms, who can just sign up with a distribution service and they can put their music out to the world, and you could do that for a while with things like SoundCloud, which is where a lot of underground hip hop and artists and indie was cultivated and discovered by A&Rs. But SoundCloud was actually a good example of the hub of creativity that stems from not from major labels, but from people being creative and having the tools to be able to share that with the world. And because that aspect of it has grown so much, so has the overwhelming distribution of creativity, right? And one could call it oversaturation, but in my opinion, as someone who started in my parents' bedroom, just messing around with Pro Tools, I don't know. It's nice to be able to do that.
Oh, absolutely. But to be fair, it's not like you haven't turned on the radio, listened to your parents' car while you're growing up and heard a song. They're just like, oh, that's terrible. And some executive made their career off of signing them. So crap is there. The thing is, there's something out there that's good. And if you find it, then you have it. And so I think that's really cool. I think we're kind of basically in alignment. I will say the one caveat that on the other side of things, I don't think pop music has gotten necessarily exclusively worse. I really do enjoy the infusion of sort of funk elements into popular music. At the very least, in pop music, I think the bass has gotten more interesting. I'm not the biggest Dua Lipa fan.
Instrument?
Yeah, the bass, the instrument.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Dua Lipa fan, and I'm not saying that to disparage her. I just don't listen to her. And that's whatever. I'm aware of some of her songs, and maybe I'm aging myself even as a millennial now. Maybe she's not relevant. I don't know. I don't know what's relevant. But some of the bass lines, and I know they're not even real bass. I know it's just programmed in by her producer. It's not even necessarily a studio musician laying this down. It's so interesting, and it's so fun, and trying to recreate that kind of feel. It's pop music. In 1969, this is little history. history of music. In 1969, the number one charting song in the world was by the Archies, and it was called Sugar Sugar. The Archies are a cartoon, and so it's gotten better. Okay, that's all I'm saying. In some respects, it's gotten better. Yes, we had the Beatles before that and some more interesting stuff like that, but we have interesting bass. So it's all subjective anyways because it's an art. But thank you, Eliot, for your profound thoughts on that. I'm sure we're going to get into some fun stuff with the hot takes on cold steaks because that's going to be even better. All right. So next segment 2, band names real or fake. This is a new one for me. I don't know how this kind of popped up. Actually, I think I do. But if I told you, I'll tell you at the end because if I told you, it would ruin it. So the basic premise of this is I'm going to give you a band name, and I'm not sure if I'm going to give you I might give you, if you need the help, I will give you the genre of music. And you're going to tell me if they're real or fake.
Sounds good. The
minimum requirement for the real ones, so spoiler, they're not all fake. It's not just a trap. The minimum requirement is that they have, I believe, at least 6,000 monthly listeners. So one of them is 6,000. That is low. One of them is up to 270 or something like that. So that's a well-ish known. And I say well.
You made up the other ones.
I made up the other ones. Yes. I should say the 271. The drummer in my band, it's his daughter's. I'm really hoping he doesn't watch this and is insulted by the fact that I thought their names could conceivably be seen as fake. Anyways, let's start with this. The first one, which is Moscow Hospital. Remember,
Hospital.
Moscow Hospital. So you can ask me the genre of music.
I can ask you the genre. What is the genre?
Shoegaze.
Shoegaze? That sounds like a shoegaze band. Man. I would run you through my thought process, but tell me the name again.
Moscow Hospital.
Moscow Hospital? Real.
It is fake.
You made that up?
I made this one. This is actually the inspiration for this entire segment. I was driving out to LA. I was driving out to LA with my older brother, who works at I'll just say a large fast food company on the West Coast, in their corporate office for a fundraiser that they were doing. And Papa Roach, of all things, was playing the fundraiser. And for some reason, this just sparked in my head this name. I genuinely don't know where it came from in that. It just came up in conversation. We're like, I'm going to invent a fake shoegaze band and call it Moscow Hospital and just release a bunch of...
Could very well be a real one if you put your,
Moscow Hospital, TM or copyright or whatever.
Trademark. Right.
Yeah, it's mine.
For sure.
I am litigious. I will come after you. Not you.
For sure.
The listener. You know who you are. Exactly. All right. So Moscow Hospital, fake, but it should be real. Next one, I have Best Coast.
Best Coast.
Best Coast.
Presumably a West Coast band.
I mean, you are on the East Coast. I am on the West Coast. So this could just start some fighting right now.
Right. Like Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
Super dumbed down. Best Coast. That sounds too like. I mean, I know you said 6,000 threshold, but like, Best Coast, really? That doesn't. I hope this isn't your friend's daughter's band because I don't agree with Best Coast. I'm gonna say no.
Oh man, this could not have gone worse. That is real. That is my
of course it's real.
Daughter.
Of course.
It's my drummer's daughter. She is half of the rock group. She is Bethany Cosentino. It gets worse. That is the biggest band on this list. 270,000 monthly listeners. They did the theme song for the movie Scoob, which was that like 3D animated. Yeah, they're on the soundtrack. They're big time. They're big time. I feel really bad. Ricky, I'm sorry. Ricky, I'm sorry. I put them on this list. You're never going to see this, and that's okay. But well.
Fair. I'm not in a band, so I've never. I mean, I have a band, but I'm not like affiliated with a band.
I just. This is fun. This is fun. We make ourselves and our friends uncomfortable, and maybe we don't have those friends after today, and that's okay. Life moves on.
Yeah.
The music is more important. All right.
Right.
Let's. You know what? It can't get worse. That was the only one I'm even remotely affiliated to by 3 people removed. Whatever. So it's fine.
For sure.
It's fine. Next question. Sleep well. Period. The period is just the dot at the end.
What's the genre?
The genre is indie. Very indie. If that helps.
It does sound super indie. It sounds like indie bedroom pop, like sadcore energy. Sleep well, period. I swear to God, I've seen that. And then like the album cover is just like a picture of like a street sign when it's like super foggy out.
I don't know if that's true, but it should be.
Right. I'm gonna go with true.
That is true. Well done.
Yeah.
It is true. They have 6,000 monthly users or listeners. So you got the most obscure. And admittedly, I only listened to a few examples, but I wrote the description very indie. I didn't know how else to. I had no other
Very
qualifier.
indie.
I
That
didn't know
sounds
what
about
else.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Now we have number 4. We have a total of 6. Just we're clear. It's not an endless list.
Okay.
So we are number 4. We are halfway through. Violet in reverb.
Say it again.
Violet, like the color, in
Violet.
reverb.
Violet in reverb. I thought you said violent.
Oh.
Maybe it's a metal band. What's the genre?
It's dream pop.
Dream pop. It sounds dream pop. But I think you made this up.
Catch it on. Dang it. Yep. It is fake. But also another one of those ones that if I ever want to do a pseudonym for a fake
Once
band,
again, could work.
could work. I could never, like, my first band that I ever tried to do was when I was like 13. And
Really?
yeah, I was playing drums and I wanted to learn guitar. And knew another kid like right around my age who could kind of play drums. We're just talking for an hour. What could our band name be? It's like we can't even play instruments together. Oh, I froze. Well, the kids still hear me. So anyway, we're talking for like an hour, and the best name we could come up with was just Instant Coffee, as if that's clever enough to be
Pretty
anything.
good. Instant coffee.
Not
I think
the
that's,
20
that's
years
a
ago.
winner right there, man.
Maybe now, but see, this is back when indie just meant you didn't have a label. The alternative was what indie is. Yeah, we can get into that too, but it doesn't matter. All right.
Yeah.
Next question, number 5. I have Deathlands.
Deathlands. Let me guess. Hardcore punk.
You would think, I actually wrote on here, it's got death in the name, definitely something metal, but no, it's also indie rock.
Deathland.
Lens.
Deathlands. Okay, interesting. I'm also gonna go. No, I think that's a real band. I think that's true.
It is real. It is real, and they have 59,000 monthly listeners. It is.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's kind of the. How would I describe this? Do you do much in production when you're at Berkelee?
A tad bit. Yeah.
A tad bit. Okay, so when you have that like really short slapback delay kind of sound
Yeah.
on everything, that's what they sounded like to me. I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, indie rock. It's just like we recorded this with one microphone in an untreated garage, and thought
And it's
that's
the best
fine.
music you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyway, all right. I am realizing now that up until this point, I have done fake, real. So, no, I did 2
really?
reels in a row. Never mind. I did 2 reels in a row. Sweet. Okay. I thought I was
Nice.
getting stuck in my back and forth pattern. Just dumb. Anyways,
No, you're
last one. We're going to end on a strong one, I think. This is the elevator resistance.
You made that up.
I totally did.
That's not a. Maybe that would be something from like I don't know decades ago. That's not anything now. No one would ever
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, it sounded, like misaligned language.
It sounds like a band name you come up with when you're in the shower and you're like, oh,
That's
that'd be a good band name. And then maybe you like tell one person.
I've always
Dude, that'd
found
be awesome.
I found in my later years, I say later years, I'm 36. I'm just blocking the grays in my beard with this microphone. I found the key to a band name for people my age, at least, is just to put the article "the" in front of whatever else comes afterwards. There's
for sure.
So I'm in Southern California. Are you aware of Orange County out here? It's where Disneyland and Angels play. Okay, so there's a not too far away from Disneyland in the city of Orange. There's a street, and they have this giant mall that's called the Block at Orange. The street that it's on, that you would exit this crazy freeway, it's either 22 or the 405, they're all connected at the same time. It's called the City Drive. I've driven by that so many times on my way to shows and thought that's like the best 2008 pop rock band name of all time.
Yeah.
But now it's 2025 and it's too late for that to be a band name.
This drive. I mean, you have like address bands.
That's
maybe.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
It just it hits me deep in my millennial soul is what it is. And
for sure.
It's that kind of like grasping on, no, I'm still relevant. It's like, no. It's moved on. It's moved on. I am no longer aspiring to be a recording artist. Now I have to be a podcast host. That's what you do.
It's part of it.
So here I am. All right. So you did surprisingly well with especially the fake ones. You snipped those ones out.
6?
I think it was 4 out of 6. I think that's pretty darn good with 0 lead time on that. Just no understanding what that was going to be like. That was great. I have found that the through line for that was the real groups. I went just towards indie because they seem to have the most ridiculous names.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just what it is. All right. Okay. Well, anyways, let's get into our last segment, segment 3. And Eliot, again, thank you so much for being here today. This has been super fun. I'm glad to get to talk with you. I'll say fellow Berkelee alum, even though you're
Berkelee,
one
yeah.
Berkeleenian, I guess. I don't know what it is. Anyways, so we're going to get into this last segment, and this is a little bit close to my heart because while I've done originals and been like almost artist in residence in some organizations, stuff like that, most of the money I've made in music has come from doing other people's songs. So tribute acts and cover artist kind of stuff. So the first question, and maybe the only question I only came up with one hot take thing for us to do. I'm so sorry. Usually I have a list, but that's okay. We can get into this and get really offensive towards people that are doing either side of this thing. Should original artists do covers when performing live, or is it just a crutch?
It can be a crutch, but it isn't always like that. So the good part about being able to play covers amongst your originals is it goes hand in hand with understanding your audience. So if you're starting out, right, as an artist, and you've got a bunch of kick-ass originals, right, and you want to go play, maybe you do some open mics, maybe you play at some bar gigs and whatnot. What you have to kind of throw out your pride sometimes, right, and acknowledge that if the audience is, a certain age group or, a particular type of attitude, maybe they're super rowdy, when you're playing your originals, right, can be a lack of familiarity, right? And, relying on originals to relate to your audience can be a crutch, but I'd say like 90% of the time, incorporating cover, depending on your audience, into your repertoire is super beneficial, right? And even, you see like popular artists when they're on tour. We could go back to Benson Boone, like on tour, he's doing like these covers of Adele and, Bruno Mars. Like he's incorporating these things in you. That's partially in that instance, it's like a marketing thing, right? But, what incorporating covers into your set list shows, what that demonstrates is that you aren't just focused on yourself. You can show your influences, show that you understand your audience, and most importantly, show that you have music taste and you have like, you know, your horizon is more broad than simply whatever genre you constrain yourself to. So I'd say more instances than not, it's not a crutch and actually more relying on just your originals and what you're comfortable with. That can be a crutch in and of itself. I'd say now that's from a perspective of a singer-songwriter. As a band, it's a lot easier to just do covers and not originals, because originals means taking someone's idea and adapting it to a band setting and coming up with different parts.
Orchestrating.
Because you said yourself earlier, sheet music, and you know that's hard to do for a lot of people, right? So from the perspective of a band member, a lead singer, or a guitarist, that it's easier to rely on covers and being a cover band, right? There's a trillion of those out there. Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably fair. I will say, I think maybe crutch wasn't the right comparison or insult to hurl at it, but I do think it is in effect the single most effective way to start today as a musician and make a little bit of money with what you're doing, and endear your audience. I'd say your examples of Benson Boone doing covers on the road shows that he's not an insufferable artist. It's I don't know if you've seen any of oh gosh, I can't even remember the account on TikTok. It's a band that does their own music, then also, you know, does the skits and stuff like that. Because that's the game now. And one of their sort of created characters is the insufferable indie artist who's just standing on stage in this pea coat and just I can't remember what their band name is. But that I think when you stick to your originals and even if you're on the level of a Benson Boone, even if you've, you know, I think was he on American Idol or The Voice or something like that originally?
I think it was American Idol.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So you have the national stage, national attention. You have everything you could hope for in music industry. You have a captive audience, and then you get signed even, and all those things going for you. I think he's showing himself to not be that insufferable artist that takes himself too seriously, and at the end of the day understands I'm an entertainer. I have zero career if the people watching me don't care. And I think that's what I think we can. I think we can lose that as musicians, as entertainers. Ultimately, art is something to be enjoyed or consumed in some capacity. Yeah. Even you know, when you get into the less musical, more literal sort of understanding historicity in that, and you think of Da Vinci and the Mona Lisa. Is the Mona Lisa any good if it's, you know, locked inside a vault for 1,000 years? Not really. And so it's designed to be seen. It's designed to be consumed in that capacity. That being said,
for sure,
if your goal, and I think largely it just depends on your goal in music. If your goal is to be an artist and not necessarily to be, you know, financially successful, then I think not only is doing a cover not a crutch, it's worse than that. It's like it's a hindrance. It gets in the way of your sort of artistic purity in that sense. But ultimately, I've never personally found that to be the goal. I want to engage with my audience. I want to be able to relate to them and sort of express who I am. And I can do that through art. Like I'm a millennial. I know I keep going back to that but we have MySpace. We were able to like decorate our own froze again. Shows my internet's terrible. We could decorate our own back page and then put these songs embedded into this, you know, social media platforms. Like, this is who I am. And it's almost always emo songs back then, but it was an expression of our personality, of our personhood in musical form. And I think you can do that even as an artist with somebody else's song. And then you can get into the famous covers like, oh my gosh, Johnny Cash doing Hurt, like Nine Inch Nails song of all things. The lead singer of Nine Inch Nails said, I guess that's not our song anymore, kind of, because he felt that.
Well, if you want to look at it like that, Hallelujah, famously performed by, you know, Jeff Buckley, written by Leonard Cohen, right? So a cover is not necessarily
dozens.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So a cover isn't necessarily like, stripping away your personality, or you're just like, it's completely derivative. A lot of the time you're making it your own. And what you're doing is incorporating your personality into,
Right.
whatever the cover is. I think a big part of it is also understanding and acknowledging the ground you're walking on. So as an artist, you do have to acknowledge to some capacity who's come before
Mm.
your competitors or your peers, right? So understanding that, acknowledging them, and immersing yourself in the world of music means it can mean playing covers, and it can mean understanding where you've come from a musical standpoint, right? So some might say it's necessary
Yeah.
to
I
be a
would say,
respectable artist.
yeah. If you are of the mind that my music is the most preeminent and important thing, and you disregard everything that came before, I think you're as dumb as someone who started calculus in high school and says, I don't need all that other math that we've been doing. I'm in calculus now. It's like, well, you're building on top of decades
Right.
and centuries and millennia of people that have come before you in that. And my last point in this, the reason I guess I have 2 points. I'm going to mash them together, try and make them quick.
Sure.
I think it is sort of the key of how you can get your name out there. No one cares who you are if they don't know who you are. And the covers online in this digital age, as we've talked about, it allows you to kind of put yourself out there. And covers, to your point, I don't think you should just be, here's the exact copy of what it is if I'm trying to be an actual artist. Here's my spin. Here's what I'm expressing through somebody else's art form, but I'm the medium in this capacity. And then I think,
Sure.
and I think one of the best examples of that I've seen in the last, I don't know how many years. I'm so bad at gauging time. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so I haven't slept very much in 3 years. Do you know who Gareth is on TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay, so he got huge on
Sixth season, right?
on a cover of the Noah Khan song, and it's like now he's I think he's living in Nashville, making his living doing that, moved from like Ireland or something like that. And he made it all on somebody else's song, but people connected so deeply because it wasn't just here's a rehash of this Noah Khan song. It's like, well, if I wanted an exact copy, Spotify exists, and I could hear someone do it literally exactly like Noah Khan because I can give Noah Khan. Like, I don't need you to give me a bad version of that. I heard a terrible version on one of my shows. We were playing at this public place, and there was someone at a restaurant nearby playing a Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey, which is a cover. And it was just so bad. And it's like, okay, you can't sing like Chris Stapleton. Very few people can. Don't try. If you're going to do that song, do it your way, because it's not going to sound like Chris Stapleton. And that's okay. And so I would say, if you're going to do a cover and you want to be an artist, you need to do it in a way that respects the original art. And so you're not just like, well, everyone came to see a singer-songwriter, so instead of Ed Sheeran doing Ed Sheeran, I'm going to do Ed Sheeran as if he was Dream Pop or, it's synthwave or something like that. Like, no one cares about that. But respecting it while still making it your own voice, I think, is what's important.
For sure.
And like I said, that's a hot take on something that doesn't matter because the audience isn't thinking about this, but musicians are. And we should. I do think we should. And I don't want to minimize that. But all right, Eliot, thank you so much for being here. With the last little bit here, what I want to make sure is Eliot was a good sport, came on here to a completely unserious podcast. We had some actually genuinely profound conversation, I thought, which is kind of cool. But what are you doing? What do you want people to know? And I'll get your socials and your not your socials like social security. I'll get your social profiles and all that stuff, and I'll post it when this goes live in a couple weeks. What do you want people to know about you? Where can they find you? What are you doing? What's on the horizon for Eliot Thompson?
Eliot Thompson, Eliot with one L, Eliot. People spell with two. I have a song called Icy Roads coming out November 7th. So that's this Friday with a music video. And following that will be an EP. And then following that will be an album, but that's very distant in the future. So the first thing to look for is my new song, Icy Roads, that's coming out this Friday.
Roads, nice.
Which is
Icy Roads, this Friday. This November 7th.
This Friday.
Eliot Thompson, 1T. Remember it, although there is a
One
T
T,
at the
one
beginning
L.
of Thompson. 1T, 1L.
That's true.
All right, sweet. So we will get your socials and all that. Please
Yeah.
follow Eliot Thompson. He's a good enough sport to be here and subject himself to my ridiculousness and these strange
This was a lot of
questions. I'm so glad, man. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you.
thank
so
you
much.
for absolutely. Thank you so much for watching the Greenroom is a Bathroom podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if I can guilt you into sharing it, please do that as well, because that helps us. It helps us. If you want people to laugh and make fun of us, that's the only way they can do it. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great week.